Get lost in a never-ending labyrinth. Feel the action of Mobile Suit Gundam. Dive into the surreal mind of Neil Gaiman. Experience the anger, the joy, the mystery, the fear, and the thrills of stories in the powerful way that only VR can deliver. You can watch and experience all of these stories on Quest 3, Quest 3S, or Quest Pro. Welcome to GameList Plus. I'm Josh, and here are 10 must-see MetaQuest 3 stories. I have watched all manner of short films, stories, and experiences on the Quest 3 to bring you the best of the best for this list. Today's list is all about stories that just land on the lighter side. These are family friendly for the most part. You can check out my other list of the 10 must-see MetaQuest 3 short films right here to see a little bit of the darker, more adult and emotional side when it comes to stories told in VR. Before we start, I just want to thank Meta for making this video possible and gifting me the MetaQuest 3 512GB model, which I obviously love, as you could tell from all my content. It's truly the best all-around VR headset in my opinion, with the most accessibility to help push VR forward to the masses. Even though I am doing this as an advertisement for Quest 3, these are 100% my true opinions on these stories and experiences, which are all listed in the description below. And since I'm now an affiliate, when you buy the Quest 3 headset or the experiences through my affiliate links, you'll actually be helping GameList Plus directly at no additional cost to you. But many of these stories are completely free though, so let's get started. At number 10, Mobile Suit Gundam Silver Phantom. Mobile Suit Gundam Silver Phantom was a title on the Meta Store that I just assumed was a Mobile Suit Gundam game. And this is not a game at all. Instead, it is a full-length interactive movie. And no, I'm not going to pretend like I'm a big Mobile Suit Gundam fan. I've seen a bit of it here and there over the years for sure, but never really stuck to it. I love anime, but it's just not my jam. I have to say though, jumping into the full VR anime story of Mobile Suit Gundam Silver Phantom is quite a delight on Quest 3. The story often refers a lot to the elements from previous shows and movies from the universe, but it doesn't really matter. I didn't know what they were talking about most of the time, but it managed to stay entertaining as I watched to keep going. There are some game-like moments where you're in the cockpit of the giant robots using lasers and shields to fight your way through asteroid fields and bad guys, but the controls are super basic and really just consist of switching your arms forward and back, and in other parts you simply look in the direction that you want to move. Do not expect a game here, it is simply not a game. But it is really worth it for the experience of being inside the giant robots in the center of epic anime laser battles that I've only ever seen on a flat screen. And I definitely wouldn't say that the story is all that deep or intriguing, but if you're a Gundam fan and you have a Quest 3, then this truly is a must-experience adventure. At number 9, The Line. The Line is a great little story about breaking out of your comfort zones. Although The Line is a few years old, it still holds up as a great little interactive short film where you pull knobs and turn handles to activate the machinery of a scale model of Sao Paulo, Brazil with intricate moving parts. Each interaction pushes the characters Pedro and Rosa through this 15 to 20 minute short film that reminds us that finding happiness requires some bravery. This is a really inexpensive and lovely little experience, but it's also a really great way to show people who aren't used to VR a nice little taste of what it can do. The Line is short and sweet and very much worth experiencing. I had it on my favorites list on the Meta Store for a very long time, and since I heard it was really good and I had reason to, now I've actually finally tried it, so now I actually really do have to recommend it. It's really good. At number 8, Lava Machine Shorts. The Lava Machine shorts consist of 3 totally free short films from Studio Lava Machine. The first one is called Monster, about a monster who dresses up as a human and goes to a public pool where things don't go according to plan. And the next one is called Reincarnation Mall, which goes into the concept of karma points, which forces the main character to make some really hard decisions. And finally, What Time Is It? About a man traveling in time to try and change the behavior of his past self. All of these short films are great little stories that delve into the realm of self-acceptance and what we do or don't do to find it. You can watch all of these on MetaQuest TV for free by just clicking on the link in the description below, or look up Monster on MetaQuest TV and that will lead you to their other shorts as well. If you're enjoying this video, this is the perfect time for you to hit that like button. It really does help my channel a lot. And also don't forget to hit subscribe so you can see all my upcoming videos. Next on the list, at number 7, Wolves in the Walls. Wolves in the Walls is an interactive story based on the Neil Gaiman children's book of the same name. This one is about a young girl named Lucy, which is one of my favorite names, by the way, who lives with her mother, father, and brother, and you, within the VR experience, are what seems to be Lucy's imaginary friend. Through the story, we see Lucy trying to convince her family that there are wolves living in the walls of the house, which genuinely does feel pretty creepy as you play. as you watch, I should say. She always talks to you as the story unfolds as you help her gather evidence to prove the wolves are real to her family. One by one, she goes to each of them to try to convince them that there are in fact wolves in the walls. All of them tell her that it must be something else, and that if the wolves got out of the walls, that it would all be over. What happens next, I will leave for you to discover in what some people would consider a modern-day fairy tale. All around, this is a very worthwhile story experience in VR. It's only about 20 to 30 minutes in length, and while most of the time you're just watching, there are moments where you definitely use your hands to do some basic stuff like take a photo and shine a flashlight around in specific moments, but this is all about the story through and through. Wolves in the Walls really feels like a good interpretation of the slightly spooky Neil Gaiman children's book. Next, at number 6, Mescaform Hill, The Missing Five. Mescaform Hill, The Missing Five is a fascinating story set in Nigeria where a traffic officer steps out of his role at the police station to help a woman find her missing daughter against his superior's orders. What he discovers is far beyond what you could imagine in this fascinating story. The whole thing is told in a graphic novel sort of way where you read along from beginning to end as if you're watching a live comic book. The whole thing is gorgeous to look at and is truly worth a watch if you have a Quest 3. This is one of the experiences on this list that you can access through Theater Elsewhere, the incredible platform on MetaQuest that allows you to view Quill animations. This is by far the very best way to watch animation in VR, and Mescaform Hill is definitely one of the best stories available so far. At number 5, Gloomy Eyes. Gloomy Eyes is a very cool claymation-style, Tim Burton-esque, visually stunning story that follows a mortal girl named Nina and a zombie named Gloomy who has quite a temper. It's about 30 minutes long, and it really just sweeps you away as you go from area to area, following the characters through awesome, detailed, and fully immersive environments. It's a dark and whimsical story set in a post-apocalyptic world where the sun no longer rises. The characters, including the evil uncle, are really engaging and fun, and it's amazing how much a short film experience like this can really grab a hold of you and make you care about each of the characters like it does. I absolutely love this type of animation, and I just really wish that there were more of it in VR. I'm really hoping more and more people will watch and enjoy these types of experiences so the demand will go up. This is actually the second time I've mentioned Gloomy Eyes on my lists because it really is just that good. If you're a fan of claymation and you have a Quest, Gloomy Eyes is most definitely worth every penny. Next at number 4, The Golden Record. The Golden Record is an animated short from the Tales from Soda Island series. We're carried along on a journey with a singular ant who slaves away in a factory, carrying on with his mundane and oppressive life. He ventures out of the mega colony to discover an ancient alien artifact that he uses to change the lives of the other ants all around him. This is honestly just such a great little animated film that gives a fresh and interesting take on a concept and an item that was launched all the way back in 1977 in real life. The Golden Record is just one of 7 amazing animated short films called The Tales from Soda Island, and these are by far the best looking and most fleshed out collection of animations to watch within Theater Elsewhere. Best of all, they are entirely free. I feel like The Golden Record is the best of them all around because it's such a standalone story that actually has a beginning, middle, and an end. All of them are great though, and all 7 of them I can highly recommend. Studio Zero that made these hasn't made a new episode in quite a while, but I know they're working on other things and I can't wait to see what they do next. At number 3, Hello. Hello is a phenomenal sci-fi thriller set on a spaceship that looks strangely like some kind of old school VR headset. In this story, our main character is left alone on the ship where he encounters an ancient piece of machinery drifting out in space. I really don't want to reveal too much about what happens, but it's definitely one of the best animated films I've seen in VR. It reminds me very much of 2001: A Space Odyssey. It explores the concepts of isolation, importance within the universe, and the potential threats of technology. It's a really tightly constructed little short thriller that I only wish were a bit longer. Coming in at number 2, Lavrynthos. Lavrynthos, which I just have to assume I'm pronouncing correctly, is an awesome VR story and experience where you venture into a labyrinth that is contained within your play space that seems to go on forever. You just keep going and come around bends and keep circling back within the same space. It's a really cool concept because it just feels like it keeps going and going. It's very strange, but very cool. Along with the very interesting VR dynamic of endless pathways, you're entertained by a very fun story about the Minotaur, the half-human, half-bull from Greek mythology. In this story though, he is not fierce and terrible like you would have imagined from mythology, but he's a sort of self-defeated goofball who just wants to get out of the labyrinth. His interactions with the girl named Cora are the basis of the story here. The banter back and forth between them is really funny. It's really such a clever and interesting use of storytelling mixed with the very brilliant dynamic of this disorienting, endless maze. It truly is one of the coolest hidden gems that's been around for quite a while, but I'm so glad that I discovered it here on the Quest 3. Lavrynthos is a must-see and must-try experience. It is really great. And finally, landing at number 1, Oto's Planet. Oto's Planet is a very fresh and fun story about, you guessed it, a guy named Oto and his dog-like creature, Skippy, who live on a tiny planet floating out somewhere in space. Oto and Skippy live a simple, solitary life where Oto likes to just relax and sleep in his hammock and eat pink fruit from the tree that provides a nice canopy above him. Oto soon gets a visitor named Exo, who crash lands on the other side of his tiny little planet and decides to claim half the planet for himself. The voice of the narrator in the story provides a lot of the comic relief and is really the main voice of the whole thing. As the story unfolds, we see the conflict between Oto and Exo escalate to an ending that I definitely did not see coming. This is just a really simple and fun short film with really cool interactivity where you can use your hand tracking or the controllers to spin the planet to view the story from any angle you please. You can play it in full VR like I did, or switch it to mixed reality mode if you prefer, and just have the planet floating right there in your living room. If you're old enough to remember playing Mario Galaxy, which I absolutely loved, I think it was on the Nintendo Wii, but it was a really fun game where like the gravity of the planet would hold Mario on there as he runs around. And it's very similar in Oto's Planet, the way that the characters are bound to the planet and they can go from one side to the other really quickly. But in Oto's Planet, you're not controlling the characters at all. I think partly because of that, Oto's Planet feels somehow nostalgic, yet fresh and interesting from beginning to end. This really does make me very hopeful for the future of VR storytelling. This managed to land at the top of the list because I just love a really good twist. And while that is it for the top 10, I would like to give honorable mention to a couple of other little shorts. One is called Ink Trails, and it's this little short film. It's all black and white about a cat going on a journey. And it's just really dynamic and it looks really great. It just came out this year. And I believe it was made within just 30 days. It was like a challenge type thing, but it's really cute and really good. I also want to mention Remedy, which is also very well worth a watch. It's really short, but it's a poignant message asking what you'd be willing to do to save someone you love when facing the greed of the world. Both of those experiences are also on theater elsewhere and linked below with everything else. So there you have it, 10 must-see MetaQuest 3 stories. And yes, there are obviously more than 10 there, but they're all genuinely great things worth watching. Storytelling is really one of the most important parts of life for me. As an actor and as a writer, finding good stories is one of the most joyful things in my life. I hope to push people to see more and more good quality VR films. Just simply highlighting some of my favorites and putting them in my videos is the best way I can think of doing that. So what do you think of watching films created for VR? Do you have a favorite VR story? What kind of list would you like to see me do next? Let's talk about it in the comments below. While you're here, why don't you check out my 10 must-play mixed reality Quest 3 games right here. Thank you to all my subscribers for helping push towards that 10,000 subscriber mark. It's kind of crazy. We're getting so close, and I really appreciate you all. Thank you everyone for watching. I'll see you next time on GameList Plus.